All right, welcome to the Woodshop Little Splinters. Today we have been asked to replicate this bookshelf. The bookshelf is made out of some particle board. It's a little too heavy, and so she wants us to use this pine that I just picked up. And I think with this amount of pine, we'll be able to make 6 bookshelves. This is actually only half of the bookshelf that she gave me. The other half I took apart. She wants them in half sizes because it was too heavy. And so I took this one apart, and so you can see some of the component parts. And then what we're gonna do right here is I laid this on the, this is about 11 inches across. It's a 1 by 12, but technically it's like a 3/4 by 11 1/4 piece of pine. So I put this end piece on here, and this is gonna make it easy to just trace the angle. And so I'm gonna trace this angle right here, and I'm gonna draw a line right here, and then we'll make these cuts, and I'll have half of the board, and then we'll do the same thing for the other half. And then we'll put the 2 halves together, which will make an end piece. All right, so I got the shape drawn on this 1 by 12, technically 3/4 by 11 1/4. And so then I made my first cut, and I just used the miter saw, just cut that right there. This is the bottom part. And then to make this cut, I realized that my miter saw can also do this. So I put my speed square right here, and right where it says pivot, you can pivot the speed square. And then when you get that to line up with the line, that should tell you the angle you want to cut. So I got about a 35-degree angle. Make sure that's accurate. Yeah, it's just a little shy of a 35, it looks like. So I'll get that lined up with my miter saw. You can see right here, the miter saw has the ability, if you undo this part, you can squeeze right here, and then you can change. And so 35 should be like right there. 30, 31, 31.6 must be a common angle to cut because they have that specifically marked. 32, 33, 34, 35. And I'm gonna go check that angle, but I think it's just slightly less than a 35, so right there. Okay, so here we are. This actually turned out to be a 36-degree angle, and what I did, just to make sure it all lined up, is I loosened my the slide right here as much as I could so that I could drop the blade down and check it on the line, and then I would pull it out and check it again out here on the line, and it all looked the same. And that was a 36-degree angle on the miter saw. So made sure to lock this in so it's not gonna move around anymore. And then we're gonna make that cut. So the miter saw didn't quite make the cut long enough, so I'll have to finish this with a hand saw, but makes a nice straight cut for most of the cut, and finishing it with a hand saw should be no big deal. All right, so here's half of the piece that will be the end, and we'll get the other half cut the same way we did the first one, and we'll have the 2 pieces that can make the end. All right, we got the left and the right end pieces lined up. It looks like they're gonna match up just fine. I think we're gonna build the entire left side and the entire right side separate, and we might latch them together. That way they can be used as a half a bookshelf or a whole bookshelf. All right, next step is to make the shelving that's gonna go between the ends. So we've marked it at 22.5. We got a crow's foot, and then took my speed square and drew the straight line. Okay, so I took my end pieces and lined them up on the edge of the counter here, and on this one I put the template over it, and I noticed that the template had holes that were about the size of this nail, so I just put the nail in the hole and gave it a tap with the hammer, and that way I end up marking just made a little mark right there and there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all of them have been marked, and so I'll use that to drill my holes, to pre-drill my holes, and then I'll set this one on top of this one so that they all match up, and drill my holes in this one second. All right, first thing I did, I want to make sure I get the right size drill bit. I want to make sure that the drill bit is about the same size as the inner shaft of the screw. This is a 2-inch screw, and so I also want to make sure that when I drill, I'm not going to go into the table. I got a piece of scrap wood on the bottom of these two, and I got these lined up best I can. This one wasn't exactly square, but it comes flush over here, and then it pokes out a little there, and then it comes flush again. So I just need to sand that bit off right there. Anyway, otherwise it's flush all the way across, and then I got it clamped down, and I have my holes marked with pencil, and I'm going to drill down so that it goes all the way through both boards at the same time, so that when the boards are all put together, the holes all line up. All right, I got the holes drilled, and then what I did next is I put the board the books are gonna sit on, and I put it right across the hole right there, and then I drew a line to mark the center where I want the board. So, and then I did the same, and then I did a light line along here so that I could also follow that angle, and I drew a line right here. And now I'm gonna get it exactly in the middle of those two lines, and then I'm going to trace around the ends and the edges, so I know exactly where that's going to go. Okay, so I found a better way to make sure that this ends up being straight down the middle. Just line up the holes with your crossboard that makes the bookshelf, and draw a line the length of the bookshelf across. Draw a line the length of the bookshelf across both holes, and then we're going to go 3/8 inch on this side and 3/8 inch on this side, which is the width of the board is 3/4. So 3/8 plus 3/8 is 3/4, and then we'll square it up, and that should be an accurate drawing of where the board's going to go. All right, well, this might look complicated, but I'm just bracing this bookshelf, the back of the bookshelf, with these boards to keep it in place, so that I can put the other part, other end piece up on top. This one is just for balance. It's not actually gonna be there. This one is in the correct spot down here below, and I'm gonna try to line it up so that I can clamp the entire thing together before I send the screws through. This might not be necessary if I had more hands, but I'm in the wood shop here by myself, so I'm using these clamps to help hold everything together. All right, I got it all clamped, and after I got it clamped, I set it down, and you can see this side a lot easier because it doesn't have all the other boards that are holding the boards in place. But I did check to make sure the measurements are the same here and up here on the other side. so that I know that everything's straight, everything's sitting flat. So those are some final things to check before you put the screws in. All right, I'm gonna put the first screw in right here. Before I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna use this bigger drill bit to bore out just the size of the head of the screw so that the head of the screw sinks in there better without causing any splits. Then, because the bookshelf back doesn't have a hole in it yet, I'm gonna use the smaller drill bit that is the size of the screw, well, slightly smaller than the size of the screw, and then I'll put the screw in last. All right, so that worked out pretty good. I'll show you how that is done. Want to have it in forward first, and then you want to make sure you back it out, otherwise you'll bore a little bit too big of a hole. So I'm just going to slowly maybe a little more. Now, as soon as it grabs, you want to make sure you get it in reverse, because it'll grab and it'll pull itself all the way in there. Then your second drill bit is right here. Okay. And last, okay, and just sink it a little deeper than the wood so that we can possibly maybe put a little wood putty over the top, or if we paint it, the paint will just cover the top just fine. All right, well, here's the half completed. You can see the screws are set in a little bit. They're centered. Everything still needs a good sanding, and then painting it, and then I have to figure out if I want to have them put together, if I want to do just a half shelf, or if I want to have the two halves put together as a whole.